Okay, let's get on with a couple of new pieces, or at least it's one level of complexity harder than yesterday. Our objective, I will find the area of rectangles by multiplying the length times the width, where the length and the width are mixed numbers or fractions. So yesterday it was one of those dimensions was a whole number. Today, maybe both of those dimensions can be mixed numbers or whole numbers. I'm sorry, mixed numbers or fractions. Um, I will show how this is similar to fraction multiplication. I think this is actually the link that is going to probably help you the most, is looking at how that's connected to the multiplication work that we already did earlier in the year with in module 3 um, and maybe module 4 as well. All right, so problem 1. Problem 1 is rectangle A. Rectangle A is 4.5 units by 2.5 units. And our job, is to find the area of rectangle A. And the area of rectangle A is going to be the length times the width, same as usual. All right, but we need to, and I think that you can see how, well, let's just finish that part here. No, let's not. I think you can see how, well, I'm going to multiply this by this. I'm going to get an answer. It's going to be in square units. It's the end of the story. But I also want you to understand the connection to an area model for multiplication. So now we're like, yeah, all right. So how about this? I need something that is 4.5. I'm going to go 4.5 units long, and it is 2.5 units wide. So I tried to use the lines as best I could, my blue lines on the paper. So that's my half a unit. So here's the 2 and then plus the half unit, right? And you can see it here. So that is the width, 2.5. And the length is 4.5. So we'll say this little bit here is a half, and the rest is the 4. And so you can, 4 plus a half is 4.5. So this 2.5, 4.5. All right, and so I'm just going to divide this up then 2 as 4. All right, and then you can see that inside here, maybe it was a good time to use a different marker. Inside here, if I just multiply the whole numbers, I tile this with 8 square units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Okay, so we have 8 square units there, and that's 2 times 4. And then we have 4 halves across the bottom. So there's a half and a half and a half and a half. And so that's 4 halves across the bottom is 2, right? So 4 times 2. So we have, let's see, 2 times 4 is 8. And we have 4 times a half is 2. A half and a half and a half and a half is 2. And then we have, let's see, 2 times a half here, right? So that's 2 times 1/2. And if you 2 times a half, that is 1. And then I have my little tiny piece here, a half times a half is, put here, 1/2 times a half is 1/4. And so we wind up with, we add all those up, 10, 11 and a quarter. I hope that's right. I think it's right. 10, 11 and a quarter. Let me double check. And by it, let's just do it kind of just with multiplication. So let's see here. 4.5 times 2.5. And I should have put square, 11 and a quarter square units, or 11 and a quarter let's see, units squared. Okay, so 4.5 times 2.5. So that's 9 halves times 5 halves is 45 fourths. Let's do a little division here. 1. That's 4. And that's the numerator, that's the denominator. So 11 of course, so that was right. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so 11 1/4 square units, 11 1/4 square units. And we just did, this is partial products. That's all that is partial products, which we've looked at before. So let's look at rectangle B. Need another piece of paper. Rectangle B. We'll call it problem 2. Problem 2, rectangle B. Okay. Okay, and rectangle B is 1 3/4 units by 3 3/4 units. Okay, so let's make it. And this one, I'm not going to divide up each. Well, let me show you. So it's going to be, let's see, 1 3/4 by 3 3/4, maybe something like this. So on this one, I'm going to do what is maybe a little bit more familiar from partial products and just say, all right, so here's the 1 part, here's the 3/4 parts. So it's not to scale. It's not to scale, but gives you an idea anyway. So 1 plus 3/4. And here's the 3 part. And here's the 3/4 part. Right? So 1 3/4 times 3 3/4. What do we get? If we do the whole number part first, so 1 times 3, that's here. And 1 times 3 is 3. So that's 3 square units. Okay, and then we do the 3 times 3/4. That is here. 3 times 3/4. 3 times 3/4, what? 3 times 3 is 9. That's 9/4. That's 2 1/4 square units. So 3 times 3/4 equals 9. Yep. 9. Yeah. 2 1/4. And then here we have 1 times 3/4. So that's 3/4 square units. One times 3/4 is 3/4 square units. And then we have this little tiny piece. I shouldn't have made that bigger. That was not a good thing. I should not have done that. Then this little tiny piece is 3/4 times 3/4. 3/4 times 3/4. And that is 9/4 or 2 1/4. I'm sorry, 9/16. Can that be reduced? No. Okay, 9/16. All right. So now I need to add these up. All right. So let me do it. I need to make this a little bit neater over here. So 3, 2 1/4, 3/4, and actually, I don't like the way that that's looking. Let me try again. 3, 2 1/4, 3/4, 9/16. So if I add these up, I'm going to need to make some equivalent fractions. So let's see, let's do 16ths. I'm going to add up just the fraction part first. So this is 4/16 and 12/16 and 9/16. So 4 and 12 is 16/16. 25/16. And then, so that covers that. And 3 and 2 is 5. So that's 5 and 25/16. So let's work with that a little bit. So 5 and 25/16 equals, well, let's see, so that's, what's 25 over 6? Well, be 1 and 1/16. So, right? No, 1 and 9/16, right? That was my 14 and 12 is 16. So 5 plus 1 and 9/16 is 6 and 6. 6 and 9/16, sorry. Okay, so square area of rectangle B is 6 and 9/16. Now, I would like you to do rectangle C, and here is the dimension of rectangle C. Problem 3 is rectangle C. And rectangle C is, what did I want? Rectangle C is 1.5 by 3/4. 1.5 units by 3/4 units. And you'll see that in Schoology as well. So this is going to be sitting there in Schoology for you to work on. And you're going to need to use the screenshot and Google Draw features to give it a try.